I just want to follow in the footsteps of the great EJ. I want myself a pie, man. That sounds pretty good. We've won this the last two years. I didn't race it last year. I was mending from collarbone, but year before that I won it. And then Ryan, who's here today, teammate Ryan, he won it last year. We got a strong squad. I think we got a good shot.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. First race of the season. I am pumped. I'm especially excited and relieved because this race was after my boy EJ took down the dub. If you didn't catch that video, be sure to check it out. His very first race, not just for the season, his full race period he won. Very excited. So there was this weight lifted from my shoulders, and then I quickly realized, ooh, I have a race today too. And it is my first race of the season, so the nerves kind of came back. But let's talk about what the plan is. First of all, this course is insane. It has 16 corners per lap. It felt like about 37 corners per lap. And a little bit of wind left to right on the start-finish. Not terribly consequential. Mostly had to do with the corners and some pretty stiff competition. We had Project 74 rider or two, I think. And then, of course, the boys in pink, who are Tehran Elite. And then us on Team Mike's Bikes, I believe we had the most numbers in the race, which means the pressure's on when you show up with the most number of teammates in a race. I think there were 6 of us. So what's our plan coming into a race like this? With the numbers, we have options, right? So Sean, new Sean, we have 2 Seans on the team, a little bit. Young Sean and old Sean. Young Sean won the first road race of the season a couple days before this. So, hey, proven fitness is a big thing on our team. If you've demonstrated a successful sprint in the previous race, what do they say in bike racing? It's like you're only as good as your last race, and Sean won his last race. So he was the guy for the field sprint, but we really wanted to stack a breakaway and make sure we had everything covered. We were going to take turns as a team, covering attacks and just making sure if there's anything off the front, we could win from it. So where am I at? I had a pretty late start to the season, was coming into some fitness, quickly got the flu, so that little bit of fitness I had kind of went away. So an exceptionally late start to the season. This was a big test for me. It's a very difficult course, obviously, and I really wasn't sure where I was at. And I was very clear with my teammates about that. Hey, like, I'm going to probably know within the first few laps of this race what's going on, and don't depend on me for anything, really. But ideally, I'm going to be the last lead-out guy for Sean if all things go well. So let's just dive into some race footage and see how things play out. Okay, and speaking of the first few laps of this race, I did not have the GoPro running, but I made a very rookie mistake and started at the back of the field, and that is never a good idea in a hard-fought crit, especially a really technical hard-fought crit like this. So I spent the first 15 or 20 minutes absolutely fighting to get to the front, and I'll tell you what, those first 15 or so minutes, just working my way up to the front, were some of the hardest racing that I did in this entire 60-minute crit. I guess except for the last couple of laps, which we'll get to, but like it's so important in a race like this to work your way into the top third because people just get gapped off, splits open up, and you don't want to get caught behind that because your race can be over so quickly and you won't even realize it. Okay, so I talked about our plan on Mike's Bikes in the intro, and that is trading attacks, making sure everything's covered, and stacking a breakaway in our favor. That was Ryan and that small group getting brought back from an early breakaway. And just a few hundred meters later, I'm covering the next one. And you might be thinking I should not be doing this. I should be saving my legs for the sprint because I'm the final lead-out guy for Sean. But this is the hallmark of good teamwork in bike racing. I mean, you have to make sure everything's covered, especially if you're in a good position to do so. I was in a great position just to make sure that attack was covered. If we let that gap extend and open up, we find ourselves chasing, which almost never ends well. So this was the pattern for a long time. Get into a breakaway, stack it with some teammates, force the competition to chase, and then bam, counterattack with my teammate Ryan. I mean, this is exactly the pattern that you want to see. It puts a lot of pressure on your competition, forces them to do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of chasing and pace setting. And this really sets up your team for success. I mean, this is Matt jumping across in Tehran. This is exactly what I want to see because Matt is their sprinter. He's using a lot of energy to try to get across to Ryan. Spoiler alert, he doesn't make it. And when he finally does get brought back, it is like hit the panic button for Tehran because Ryan's the type of guy who could go from 15 kilometers left in this race all by himself. And his teammates, myself included, are more than happy to sit in. So big props to Tayroon for immediately sending reinforcements. You see right here, they have a couple of riders on the front because this is the type of situation where if there's any hesitation on bringing that breakaway back, even though it's a solo rider, Ryan is very strong. He'd be gone forever. So it's good on Tayroon to recognize that threat, immediately send 2 guys up the road and just start chasing, not bridging. We talked about that in the Cat 5 video. They're not bridging. They are chasing. They're going to rotate on the front, keep the pace really high, and just make sure that Ryan isn't going to get a free ride solo to the finish line. So the Tayroon boys eventually bring Ryan back, and guess what happens? More of the same. That's right. My teammate on Mike's Bikes, Dylan, he goes off the front, looks like along with another rider. And what does that mean for us? It's Operation Get to the Front, block, and mark bridge attempts. And that brings us into 3 laps to go. And we're going to start organizing on the front. I have Sean in my draft. He's in my wheel. This is all according to plan. And this is the type of distance. So we didn't really discuss it as a team in bigger races. I think we do. We should. Which is like, where do we take it up? Kind of a lot of it depends on how the race goes up to this point. You know, if we have a full squad of like 7, 8 riders, it's been a pretty chill crit so far. We could take control of the front for like the last, 10, 15 laps. But race like this, really hard fought. The boys are kind of tired. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself. So we're all still here, I believe. Yeah, we're all still here. The field, though, oh my God, let's talk about that. We haven't talked about that yet. The field started at, I don't know, something like 40 riders, maybe 50 riders. It's down to maybe 20 riders at this point, I want to say. And you're going to see it go from 20 down to about 10 by the time we finish this race. But we're going to take the front from a pretty far distance out because we still have our full squad. We're a bit tired, but you know what? If you're able to stay on the front and take optimal lines through these corners like we're doing, then you can save a lot of energy doing that.
Get on, get on, get on, get on.
My 2 teammates here rotate on the front. You can hear me yelling at Dylan to just stay up here, take another pull, give him some motivating words, because I want to save energy as best as possible to give Sean the fastest lead out I can. I want to bring him up to, high 30 mile an hour into 150, 200 meters to go, give him the best shot at winning. The one thing we're missing is our 2 other teammates. That was kind of our mistake. There's a little bit of confusion here in the last couple of laps because, I have Roman and Dylan in front of me. They are definitely just keep it ripping fast in the last couple of laps sort of riders, and they're fine trading poles on the front. But for the last 3 laps, it's difficult for only 2 guys. So I'm asking Roman here. I don't know if the GoPro's catching the audio. I'm asking him if he wants a pole because I want to give them just a little bit of a rest. I still feel like I have some energy. I can help them with a pole or 2. But Dylan gives me some reassurance. Roman gives me some reassurance right there. He says, like, no, you're good. Just stay back there because Roman has been racing for forever. He's an amazing bike racer. He understands that it's going to be most important for me to save my energy and not to kick it up a couple of miles an hour here, but instead to make sure it's really fast for Sean in the final 400 meters of the race. But the problem I'm seeing here is, like I mentioned earlier, it's only 2 of my teammates in front of me who are going really fast here. You can see I'm in the draft here going 400, 500 watts. That means they're doing a lot more, and it's difficult for 2 guys to rotate and to keep that rate of speed. And ideally, you want to be increasing the speed in the final couple laps of a crit. So we need reinforcements. And speak of the devil, here's Ryan again, the man who never gets tired. So this was great to see. Ryan coming in like, I got you. I got a pull because Dylan did so much work in this race, and now Dylan's dropping back. And I didn't know this because looking back was hard in this race. But now that I'm in a desk chair, looking at a rear camera, GoPro, I can see that older Sean Berger, new guy on the team also, is in my draft. And he's going to be a key reinforcement here at the end. And what you're seeing in front of us now is just a little bit more sloppy lead out. I mean, guys, first race of the season as a team. We're trying to work this stuff out. But you can see Ryan, who it comes from mountain biking. He's the best. I think he's the best bike handler I've ever seen on skinny tire road bikes. He is taking these corners like, dude, what's the big deal, guys? Just go faster. Like, he is so talented, and he just opened up a little bit of a gap on us. It's not ideal. Roman clipped a pedal right there too. I just realized. So yeah, we're working it out. I mean, we're going fast. We have all of our riders. They have good things going for us, but we can definitely brush up on these little details of being organized as a team the last couple laps of a crit. in a lead out like this. So Roman stands up. I was worried for a second when he stood up like this. Again, I remember saying this to him. I don't know if it's getting picked up in the audio or not, but I was like, Roman, chill, because I don't know that I have so many teammates behind me. I'm assuming that Ryan took his final pull. I didn't know Sean was behind me. And also, I was a little bit worried that Roman thought this was the last lap because he was going so hard. Here we are up at 800 watts. So I just wanted to tell Roman to chill. We still have another lap after this. We're going to come through the finish line 2 more times. And I want to make sure that I am not going to completely isolate my sprinter, who I'm assuming is still in my draft. So we're going to come through this technical section one more time. This was a good opportunity to kind of take a breather because, yeah, you take a few pedal strokes through each of the corners, but really most of it is just resting and just taking optimal lines. Like I said, that's one of the major benefits of being at or near the front in a really technical crit like this. So that's one of the main reasons why we took the front so early. But now Roman is going to put his head down. Look how fast we're going here, guys. I mean, 500 watts on a flat piece of road in somebody's draft. Like Roman now out of the saddle, just smashing. I am getting a little concerned because, yes, we're approaching 1 lap to go, but still, I haven't looked back. That's probably my mistake. I should have had a little bit more situational awareness. I thought Sean was still in my draft, and I thought this was going to be kind of it for my lead out for my sprinter, which is coming through 1 to go. So I just put my head down, and I do a very measured effort here just to make sure nobody's going to pass me. You know, we're up at 30 miles an hour, and then Ryan shows up, and then Sean is there, and then other Sean. I'm like, oh, my God, we're all here. I had no idea. So our communication as a team could be a lot better. I also could have looked back. But now it's like I'm in this kind of uncomfortable situation where I thought I was going to dump it for about a half a lap or 3/4 of a lap as fast as I possibly could. And then when they came past me, I'm like, well, I still have some energy. So I latch onto the back, and now I'm thinking I'm going to play sweeper for Sean. Right? I'm at the very tail end of the lead out, but I am not the sprinter on the day. Sean is here in the teal bike, the Bianchi in front of me. So I'm gonna play sweeper for him, make sure he has a clean set of wheels, which kind of unintentionally becomes a kind of important thing because you're going to see here in a moment that giving Sean the space to take these corners just like he wants to is going to become really important because these riders behind me are going to really fight for his rear wheel. Here's the first one, and I'm going to yell like, hey, on the left, just to make sure. And you can see they move to the left a little bit, protect the inside. And I'm just going to make sure that that these riders are not going to try to come up the inside, disrupt our lead out, or try to rob our lead out and capitalize on the strong work that the final couple of guys are doing. Ryan's still on the front going so hard. So the timing here is looking pretty good, though, because now we're inside of 1 kilometer to go. This is 750 meters, and we still have 4 guys on the front through this really technical section. Another rider on the right-hand side fighting me for my sprinter's wheel, but I'm not going to let that happen inside of the final 600 meters of this race. Like, there's no way I'm going to let this wheel go at this point. So I'm going to take the faster outside line here, and then I'm going to cut across right here and make sure I take a choice line through these final couple corners. Interesting thing happens right here. This is pretty high-level strategy. But Sean Berger, guy on the front, kind of sits up and lets Ryan just roll. Ryan is so good at taking these corners like we talked about. Ryan rolls, and the minute I see Ryan is winning and the race for first is over, I stand up, and I get to the front. I yell at Sean, hey, jump on. And Sean's like, go for it. So once I'm sure that my teammate Ryan is up the road winning the race, we're 150, 120 meters to go, I give Sean that lead out as promised, bring him in to take second. Unfortunately, we didn't clean sweep the podium, which would have been pretty epic, but I'm still pumped. I'm celebrating for my teammates to go 1-2. Woo, that was a long take. Hopefully you guys are still here listening to my voice, and that was super fun. I can't tell you how pumped I am for the rest of this season. So be sure to hit the subscribe button. EJ and I are going to be racing our faces off this year. And as always, catch you guys in the next one.